Happy Sunday, everybody. Today is Sunday, October 10th, which is National Mental Health Day. So I want to start today just by saying, I hope whatever you're doing today, you're doing something to take care of your mental health, because it's really, really important. Today, and it's funny, it's ironic, are actually just divine, I'll say it that way, because I wanted to record this yesterday, but I got a little tied up hanging out with coworkers, and it was just a really good time, and we had just a really good exchange of energy and things of that nature. So, and I kind of forgot that today was World Mental Health Day. I thought it was actually coming up on Monday. So I think today, based on the books that I'm going to be talking about, it's the perfect day for us to have this conversation and to discuss these two books that I'm about to discuss with you guys. So anyway, welcome to episode 2 of Better Together. Again, this platform is just a space for us to come and talk and have real, honest, truthful conversations. I believe the more that we share, the better that we are together. So this is the second episode. I hope you guys watched last week. If not, it's up on my page, on the IGTV page. You can see it there, where all these will be. I'm excited about this growing into whatever God wants it to grow into. And I really hope that what we're doing, that it really helps. And I'm excited to get more people involved and to have some people come on and share their stories and their journeys. Because the goal of Better Together is that we are all bringing awareness to our mental health, our spiritual, and also our physical health as well, so we can get better as a community. So, as I told you last week, this week we're going to be discussing 2 books. The first one is here. Don't look at my nails because they're not done. Charlemagne, The God Shook One. Just an amazing story. Charlemagne is so great. How I came across that book, I was watching YouTube one day, and his interview with T.D. Jakes came up. And I sat down and listened to him talk about his story and just got so inspired that I wanted to buy the book. And I did, and I have not been disappointed. The second one, like I told you, is Freedom from Your Past by Jimmy Evans. And I bought this book earlier this year, and I'll because that's a longer story, which I'll share. But it's been such a blessing to me, and I hope that if you need some freedom from your past, which everyone who's watching this probably does, you should definitely get this. You will not be disappointed. So, ironically, or coincidentally, I should say, these 2 books kind of go together. Charlemagne always talks about how, especially in our community, in the African American community, we didn't necessarily grow up in households that, preach the importance of taking care of your mental health, especially in households where things were really spiritual. I grew up in a really spiritual environment. A lot of you know this, but a lot of you don't. Both of my parents are pastors. They pastor a church back in Arkansas, where I'm from. And so we didn't talk a lot growing up in my house about going to see a therapist or going to see counseling. Everything was, take it to God in prayer, or pray about this, pray about that, and God is going to see you through. Which I absolutely agree. Prayer should be a critical component in your life, if that's your belief. It is for me, and I pray daily throughout the day, and I believe that definitely helps me and sustains me. But I also believe that therapy is just a big deal. It's a big deal for me. I have a therapist, and over the years I've had several therapists that I've seen, and they help me and guide me, especially through this past year. So that's really kind of the gist of the Charlemagne book. There's a chapter in here where he talks about how you should select a therapist. I want to say this somewhere on page 112, 113, like how you should choose your therapist, because sometimes like you may want a woman, you may want a man, you may want a certain person like ethnicity to be your therapist. Personally, I prefer African American therapists. I prefer women, African American women. My current therapist, she's a Black woman. She's based in Dallas. Luckily, because I moved back to Houston back in May, so I'm still able to see her virtually. And I like her so much because she keeps it super, super real with me. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. And so that's her approach. So that's another thing Charlamagne talks about in the book is sometimes, so my therapist, she definitely interjects, in the conversation when we're talking, and she gathers me, she gets me together. And I need that. She's blatantly honest with me. And so you'll have some therapists that just kind of sit and listen, and they may ask you questions that cause you to reflect, which mine will do that too, but we kind of spar sometimes, but I like that because I like a debate. So if you are seeking a therapist, I'm gonna post some links here with some different sites you can go to. And I can't take credit for them. They are all in this Charlamagne, the guidebook. He talks about it here, so I'll post some of those links that he posted here. So if you want to find a therapist, particularly a Black therapist or a counselor, I'll put some sites up where you can go and find those things. But I highly encourage you guys to do that, just to get those things out that you need to get out, right? So it's a long story, and it's so much that I want to share, but I know a lot of it I'm still writing about, which you guys will be able to kind of read that a little bit later when that project is done. But I want to talk about, so at the end of last year, maybe like around last October, I just was in a very kind of dark place in life, very traumatic place. In my personal life, some things happened. In my work life, it was dark, and it was all rooted, which I came to find out through therapy, in something that happened in my childhood. So that's how this book, Freedom from Your Past, came into play. I was in a place where I was unintentionally, or maybe even intentionally, subconsciously, just hurting myself, and hurting people that I loved, out of just a place of fear, not a place of insecurity, due to things that I hadn't worked through from my past. And so today in church, actually, the pastor said something really dynamic. He said, negative seeds never die. And so that was impactful for me to hear, because when I think about, if you watched last week's episode, we were talking about Lisa Osteen's book, and she was talking about how you should plant seeds. And then I talked about how once you plant those seeds, if you nourish them and develop them, then they will provide fruit. All right. So when we think about seeds, all seeds aren't good seeds. You know what I'm saying? There are some bad seeds. And so when we nurture those bad seeds, with our habits, with our thoughts, with our words and our actions, then those seeds grow too, into things that just aren't great. And we end up subconsciously damaging ourselves. And when we don't take good care of ourselves, then we don't take care of the people that we love, the people that are around us either. So I want to share some things from this, and then I'll kind of tell a little bit of my story. So around October last year, I was in this, like I said, a very dark place. I stopped speaking to my mother for months. I think from October all the way to probably around March. Because I was hurting. I was hurting from some things that happened in the past, and I didn't know how to heal or even express that hurt in a positive way. And so those are some things that I took to my therapist, and we talked through those things. And it was a process, it was a journey, because my relationship with my mother was extremely damaged, which caused me to really just hurt myself and hurt people that were around me that I loved and that I cared about. And so I had to get to the root of that, because I had been acting out in certain ways for a long time and didn't know why. I had always felt a void inside, regardless of how successful I became in my career, or how many friends I had, or how much love I had in my life. I never did enough, or I never felt I had enough to fill that void. And so it just led to a bunch of depression and a bunch of other things that caused me to be in a really bad place for a really long time. And so finally, like I was able to, God revealed to me like what the stem and what the root of that was. And it went back to my childhood. So that's why freedom from your past was such a, just really impactful, like read for me. And then here, I highlighted something here a while ago, and it says, the truth is that the behavior of our parents has a profound impact on their children. And that was impactful for me because, as a lot of you know, like, I am an out gay male. And so growing up, even before I realized my sexual orientation, that was just a thing that, and I've had conversations with my mom about this. She always told me that she knew, and her and my dad would have conversations about it. But ultimately, I was treated differently because of my sexual orientation by my mother. And I didn't realize how impacted I was by that and how damaged I was by that until really, really late in my, in my adult life. Really just recently, last year, like I said, and how that was impacting my relationships with others. It says, freedom begins with truth. And then without a forgiving spirit, without a forgiving spirit, freedom is impossible. And I'm just kind of reading some of the quotes that I've highlighted because it was just things that were really good to me. This one is really good. And then I'll finish sharing the story. It says, in forgiving your parents, you must extend them the same grace you want to receive from God. That was something that was really good to me because what I have realized is that because I wasn't getting the type of love I felt that I deserved from my mother, it was really causing me to seek love in relationships with people that I should have never, been with. And that was causing me so much hurt and pain, like transparently speaking, like getting married to the wrong person, going through a very public and embarrassing divorce. And then, immediately after that, getting other relationships, and even the relationships before that, like just being with people who I should not have been with, because I was trying to fill that void that I was just talking about with love from somebody else versus really finding love within my own self and really appreciating who Justin is as a person. And so that really caused me to hurt myself and to hurt just a lot of people that I was in relationships with, and really damaging them probably just as much as I was damaged. And I can admit that now, and publicly apologize. I've apologized a lot and had a bunch of private conversations with people who I've engaged with in the past, but just really like even publicly like saying, you know what, I'm sorry, I made mistakes. And not saying they didn't either, but you know, when two people shouldn't be together, there are bound to be like mistakes made and some hurt and trauma that comes out of those situations. And then what else it says is the only way you can be set free from the pain of your past, is to forgive and let go. Again, when you are holding on to pain from your past, like that is a seed. And so even when you don't realize that seed is kind of growing and it's developing and it's blossoming into just very nasty things in your life, depression in my case, self-hate in my case, really having a low self-esteem. And I'm just speaking transparently about how it impacted me. And so I had to unlearn and unpack a lot of those things and a lot of that trauma, which was the reason why I had to stop communicating with my mother for a while, because every time I engaged with her and every time I spoke with her, it subconsciously took me back to a place of pain and a place of hurt, because I hadn't forgave her for how she treated me as a child. And subconsciously, that seed just grew so much, it just made me act out in my relationships and act out with just people that I love. It even started to impact my work life. Like, I was showing up with a nasty attitude, showing up just treating people the way that they shouldn't be treated. And it wasn't fair to them, and it wasn't fair to me. And so I had to take some time away from work earlier this year for about 3 months and really like focus on my therapeutic process, talking through those problems, working that out, to really just get a better understanding of who I am as a person, who I want to be, how I want to show up in the world. And it was really good for my mental health. And so recently, so many people have been saying, like, you seem so much happier. You don't even look as stressed as you were. And so, and I was laughing about it the other day when I was talking to someone, because I'm like, I didn't realize how I was showing up. Like, I knew how I felt on the inside, but I didn't know it was beginning to impact my physical appearance on the outside, like looking stressed. And I was super, super thin. Because I was so stressed, I wasn't eating, like my appetite was affected. Just so many things. And so I'm still on this journey of getting free and becoming the best version of myself that I can be. And there's so much I want to say. My thoughts are all over my head right now. But a lot of it you will hear about, like, once I finish my next book project that I've been working on. And I'm gonna share all these stories with you guys, because as hard as it is to be transparent sometimes, I believe, like, again, this is better together, and we owe it to each other to share our journeys and our experiences so we can just be better together, and grow and learn and develop in places that we've been hurt and traumatized in. So, yeah. Yes, my thoughts are still all over the place. But yeah, me and my mom are working through our relationship. Things are a lot better now because I had to, one, like, be truthful with myself and say I was hurt. I shared that with her. She apologized to me. And I will say this, and I want to close because I'm almost at 20 minutes, but once you realize the stem of your hurt, whether it's a person, a place, thing, whatever, once you know where it comes from, you have in that moment the choice to forgive that thing or that person that hurt you. And from then on, you can't blame your actions on whatever it was that hurt you. You have to take responsibility and ownership and not allow that thing or that person to impact you going forward. Because you can't blame negative and bad behavior on something that happened in the past once you realize that that's the stem of what's causing you to act out. You have to let that go. You have to uproot that negative seed, otherwise it's gonna keep just growing and blossoming and you're going to still, you know, have these bad relationships and not really know why. And it's painful. I can't tell you how many times I cried, especially at the start of this year, like just being completely vulnerable with my friends, which I'm used to being that strong friend, the one that people come to, and I had to really turn it around and really leverage my friends, and really just, it was like every day at some point for like those 3 months, I cried at least once a day. And it was good because I had so much stuff that was built up on the inside, and it just really had to get released. And so that's still a journey, and it doesn't happen overnight. There were days where I just felt like I'm not gonna make it through this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna get through it, but I'm here. I made it through it, and I'm still making it through it, and I'm still learning, I'm still developing, I'm still growing. And no matter how good things look on it outside to people, like everyone has something, like Carisha said, everybody has something that they are growing through. So always keep that in mind when you are engaging with other people, and because we all deserve grace. And I want to close this video with that, with saying, give yourself grace. Nobody's perfect. And as the more you learn to give yourself grace, the more you can extend that same grace to others. And I want to challenge you guys as I close, if there's someone in your life who you need to forgive, please forgive that person. Because it's not about letting them off the hook. It's not even about them. Their forgiveness is for you. You need to uproot those seeds, because if you're walking around holding on to that hurt and that pain, it's only going to negatively impact you, which is further going to cause you to just hurt other people, whether it's intentional or unintentional. So again, happy World Mental Health Day. I want you to do something today that just brings you happiness, brings you joy, brings you peace. Whether that's talking to your mom or your nieces and nephews or your siblings, or going out to brunch with your friends, like do something that recharges you. For me, it's reading. You guys probably saw, I met with Michelle this week. Her book, which is called Checking In. We're gonna talk about this next week. I'm gonna read this week. We'll talk about this next week. So if you, I'm in the process of redoing my site because I want this to be interactive. I can talk all day, but I really want this to be interactive, like I said. So once that's relaunched, I'm going to have a section on there where we can actually engage and discuss. I'll post discussion questions that we can log in there. You can comment, all the things. This book comes out Tuesday. You Are Stronger Than You Think by Joel Osteen. I told you guys he had another book coming out, and this is it. I just went by the church this morning to pick this up. It'll be released everywhere on Tuesday, but if you're a member at Lakewood, you can stop by today and pick it up at the bookstore or somewhere in the lobby. Otherwise, you can order it on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles, wherever you get your reading from, and it'll be available on Tuesday. And so this will probably be episode 4. We'll talk about this. Some other books coming up. All Boys Aren't Blue. Shout out to Chris Perry, my frat brother in Dallas. He told me about this. So I can't wait to read. I have a long queue of books, guys, that we're gonna be talking about. So there's plenty of content coming forward. Anyway, let me shut up because I can talk. So love you guys, mean it. Have a beautiful and safe, restful Sunday, hopefully, and just get charged for your work week. Bye-bye.